Okay, so in your organization, what is the process you follow to deploy the Spring Boot application?
Yeah, to deploy, we first of all we write the Spring Boot microservices, and then we further move that to the Docker image, and
Mhm.
then uh, that Docker image is pushed to the ECR, Elastic Container Registry. That is basically AWS code build, and then further once that is pushed to ECR, then we use AWS code pipeline. So uh, after that, it further uh, we I mean run that to the AWS ECS, Elastic Container Service. So for all that Docker and pushing to the Elastic Container Registry, we write a YAML file, and using that YAML file we write all the steps need to be performed, and all these things happens automatically. So yeah, so this is the process we are following.
Okay, okay, okay. So you know exceptions, right?
Yeah, I know. Yes.
Okay, suppose we have three classes, right? We have class A, class B, and class C. So in this, class A is the superclass and B is the child of class A. Okay. Then we have class C. So C is the child of B. Okay. So A is the superclass in which B is the child. And further, we have class C, which is the child of class B. Okay. Now, suppose we are trying to handle the exception. So we are trying to handle the exception and we write the first catch block as C. Okay. Then we write B. Then we write A. Okay. So do you think it will work or will it create any problem?
Okay, so we have class A, B, and C. So in which so C is the child of B and B is the child of A. So we so class C extends B and class B extends A, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so in this kind of scenarios, we have to catch the child class first. So we will do catch and C first, and then B, and then A. So that will be the order. So basically, we usually handle the most specific exception first. So here in this case, the C is the most child most one. So that exception will be handled first, then B exception will be handled, and then A exception will be handled. If we try to reorder it, then in that case it will throw the compilation error. So yeah,
Okay, okay. Can you explain me the hierarchy of exception?
yeah, we have the throwable, which is the top level of the exception. Under that we have exception
Okay,
and
okay, one
error.
minute. What is throwable? I mean, is it class, interface? What is it?
Yeah, yeah, it's a class actually.
Okay, please proceed.
Yeah, so after throwable we have exception and then error. So again, in exception we have two types of exceptions, that is checked exception and unchecked exception. So checked exceptions are nothing but it is going to be checked at compile time. So uh, So we have exceptions like IO exception, SQL exception, file not found exception. So excuse me. So all these are compile time exceptions. So in any IDE, if we are writing the code, so compiler itself just suggests that we have to handle that exception. Okay. So these checked exceptions. So the classes that extends throwable class and accept runtime exception. Now coming to unchecked exception. So classes that extend runtime exception. So that is unchecked exception. So this runtime exception is going to occur at runtime. So for example, we divide any number by 0, so arithmetic exception. So all that happens at runtime. Again, we have array out of bound exception, null pointer exception, then concurrent modification exception. Uh, so all these comes under the unchecked exception. So then we have error. So that is an irrecoverable situation. So that we have no control on that. So that is mostly like that out of memory exception, a stack overflow exception. So all these comes under the error. So yeah, so this is what is the whole hierarchy.
Okay. So suppose any error happens in the finally block. Okay. So what happens in that situation? So how it is different from the normal kind of exceptions which happens in try and then we catch it at catch block. So how it is different from that?
Yeah, so if any exception happens at finally block, in that case, whatever the exception has been generated in finally block, that will be kind of overridden on top of the any exception which has happened earlier. So it will suppress other exceptions, and this is the final exception which we will show, which has happened in the finally block. So we will not be able to know like whatever happened earlier before this finally block. So yeah.
Okay, so you were saying that whatever the exception which has been suppressed in try or catch, right? So that we cannot find out, is it?
uh, I think in later versions of Java there is a way, um, but I'm not able to recall that. But yeah, there is a way in which whatever the exception which has been suppressed, that we can find out actually.
Okay, okay. Okay, what is the difference between throw and throws keyword?
Yeah, throws keyword is only required for unchecked exception or at compile time exception, and throw is basically we forcefully throw an error, and it should be preferred at runtime exception or custom exceptions. So throw, we usually write that inside the method body, and throws we write in the method signature itself, like uh, throws and that exception name. And so the throw keyword is used to explicitly throw an exception from a method or any block of code, and throws keyword is used in a method signature to declare the exception that method can throw. So yeah, this is the difference between these two.
Okay, okay. So suppose we have a string, okay? Now I want to remove the spaces out of it, okay? So how will you do that?
Yeah, for that we can use replace all. So we can give the string dot replace all, Then we can pass like double quotes with a space, that is the string which we want to replace, and the second parameter will be like uh, double quotes empty with empty string, so it will replace with empty string, so that way it will replace it.
Okay. Is there any other way? Or can you think of using Java 8?
Yeah, using Java 8, yeah, we can do using that also. So I think that string dot chars, it will give us the stream of chars, and then we can filter out the spaces. So we can say dot filter, and then inside that with lambda input we can say like we have a func method, a character dot each white space. So if it is each white space, so we can do not of that. It will like filter out all the strings which are white spaces. Okay, and then we can collect it, dot collect, and yeah, and then we can just show that uh, whole string. We can print that string. So yeah.
Okay. So, what are the Java 8 features you are aware of?
Lambda expression is there, functional interface, then method references, then static and default methods, optional class, and datetime API. Yeah, so these are the features I am aware of.
Have you ever worked on parallel stream? Do you know parallel stream?
Yeah, I have worked on it. So whenever we want to process the data concurrently, uh, then we use parallel stream. So suppose the order of processing is not important for us, and we just want to we just want to process it as much as faster. In that case we can go with the parallel stream. So basically they use the power of the whatever the CPU cores on which it is being processed. So because of that it processes the things very much faster in case of large data sets. So yeah.
Okay, what are the disadvantages of it?
Yeah, so disadvantages are, yeah, the first disadvantage is like as I told, if we have to process something in sequence, in that case we cannot use this parallel stream. So for example, if suppose we have a array of strings and we just want to keep on subtracting the next number or some operation we have to do. So in that case we cannot use this, okay, because it can take any of the numbers from the list, right? So it is not into the sequence. Then from thread safety point of view also, if the method is being called in parallel stream is not thread safe, so that can lead to inconsistent or some corrupted results. Okay, and also suppose if we want to debug it, so in that case it is quite difficult because sometimes suppose first and third uh, indexes will be coming, then sometimes it will be coming of some different indexes, so it is quite difficult to debug it. Then also like how many number of threads we want to generate in order to perform some parallel stream operation, so that is not in our control. Like uh, it is basically generated automatically, like how many number of threads will be generated and based on the whatever the CPU is there. So it whatever the CPU cores are there. Now this is not always the ideal situation, and this is not always the ideal like for the query processing. So sometimes we want to do our own way of number of threads we want, so that is not possible, so that control we don't have. So yeah, so these are the challenges we have with this.
Okay, okay. So in Java 8, why static and default methods were introduced?
Yeah, static method basically in interface it cannot be changed by the class implementing that. So basically it cannot be overridden, and the default method provides one dummy implementation, and the whatever the class is which is implementing that interface, they have the option to either implement either override that method or not. Now it's why it was introduced means, so suppose in an organization we have some application which has lots of many classes or other interfaces, and they all are suppose those classes are overriding any a specific interface, and we we might have the situation when we want all the classes to implement any specific method, and that is the reason, we can, instead of individually going to all the classes and adding that method is a big burden, right? And instead of that we can simply add that method to the functional interface, and further we can use it. Now again we can have the another scenario in which we simply we want to use the dummy implementation of the existing method what we have. So suppose some method has been defined in the functional interface, and we want to use that across the classes, and few of the classes they want to override it. So we can simply use this default methods, right? So these are the two scenarios and challenges which were earlier before Java 8, and these were resolved. So yeah.
Okay. So what are the main advantages of Java 8 Stream API?
Yeah, there are various advantages. The main purpose of introducing was the functional way of programming, and like code usability can be achieved using that, and even the code readability as well. And also we can reduce the boilerplate code using the Stream API. Then it provides various convenient operations like filter, map, reduce, collect, right? So that is very easy to use and very handy. Also, stream are lazy evaluated. As long as we don't write the terminal operations, it is not evaluated until we write that. So the optimization is very high, we can say, using the because of this, and it improves the performance, especially whenever we have the large data sets. And then as we discussed earlier, like we have parallel processing support as well, right? So it can again perform some operations very much in faster way compared to the traditional way. Then also the stream API uses generics, so that ensures type safety during the data processing. So this ultimately helps finding out the errors at compile time rather than the runtime. So yeah, so these are the advantages we have using stream.
Okay. Have you come across serial version UID? Have you ever used it?
Yeah, I have used it. So mostly we use it inside the bean classes.
Okay. So why we use that? What is the purpose of it?
Yeah, so basically we use it while serialization and deserialization. So this is kind of unique identifier, and it is I think a static and final, so that we declare there. So main purpose of this to serialize an object, and whenever that is going to be deserialized, then it should be makes it just makes sure that it is the same object class which was serialized. So if a class definition changes, suppose any fields are being added or removed, or any methods are getting modified, then in that case serial version UID also should be changed. So because of this, it helps that an object serialized with an older version of the class is not serialized with the newer version, and that might not be compatible also, right? So just to track all these things, we use this serial version UID.
Okay. Okay. Is hash map synchronized?
No, hash map is not synchronized.
Okay. So suppose if I want to use hash map as synchronized, so how can I achieve that?
Yeah, we can, if we want the synchronized version, we can use concurrent hash map for that.
Okay. But I don't want to use concurrent hash map. I want to make the hash map itself as synchronized. So how can I do that?
Uh, for that, um, the collections has one method, I think, some synchronized map, so we can use that. So basically, yeah, so collections.synchronized map, we can use that method that wraps the hash map and provides synchronized access of it.
Okay. Now, as you told me, right, there are two ways now, right? One is using concurrent hash map, as you told, and another one is using the synchronized method. So we have two ways to achieve the synchronization over map, right? Now, in which scenario I should go with the concurrent hash map, and in which scenario I should go with the synchronized map?
Yeah, I think concurrent hash map um, has high concurrency level, so it supports multiple concurrent read writes operations. So in that case, we should go with the concurrent hash map. So basically, whenever the read write happens, so that happens on a single bucket. So any write operation is happening, that happens on a single bucket, and rest of the buckets are free. So we can use the concurrent hash map in this case. But uh, whenever we are going to use the synchronized hash map, so in that case it blocks the whole hash map itself. So the concurrency will be low in this case. Okay. So again, performance will be much better in case of concurrent hash map, because we are making the lock on a just a specific block, right? So it will be much faster concurrent hash map, but synchronized one will be the low. Yeah, so this is what is the main difference between these two.
Okay, in hash map, suppose we want to paint the all of the keys in one go. So how can we do that?
Yeah, we can go with the enhance for loop, and we can just say whatever the map is there, map dot key sets, and we can just print all of them. Also, apart from that, we can say map dot key sets dot stream, sorry, map dot key sets dot for each, and then we can pass the each key as a parameter of lambda expression, and we can simply print it out using Java 8. So yeah, so this is another way of doing it using Java 8. So yeah,
Okay, so can we override and overload the static methods?
override and overload. Yeah, in Java we can overload static methods, but we cannot override them.
Okay, but why so?
Yeah, overloading occurs whenever we have multiple methods with the same name but different parameters. So a static method can be overloaded just like instance methods. So suppose we have any method, let's say some display is there, right? And that is accepting some number, let's say. Another display is there that is accepting some text, right? So both are different types of parameters they are accepting. So that is achievable, that won't throw any error. But overriding occurs whenever a subclass provides a specific implementation for a method that is already defined in its superclass. So a static is something related to the class, right? So just with the class dot that is static, we can access it. It is not, I mean, we cannot, so this is not the part of polymorphism basically, overriding. So suppose we have a class parent and it has a method, let's say static void display, and we have child, and again that we have that that extends, let's say parent, and that also has a static void display if we are doing that. So it won't throw any error as such, but it will not I mean uh, override it. It will basically call the parent method only. So yeah.
Okay, so in Spring Boot, there are various ways to handle the incoming data request from HTTP, right? So, what are the various ways?
Yeah, we have a controller, then we write at the rate of request mapping, and then uh, we can further at the method level we can have the get mapping, post mapping, put mapping.
Okay, that is fine, but I am more interested to know suppose any URL is there and we want the all the list of employees which department is some, let's say, IT. Okay, so there are various ways we can fetch that. So like employees and then question mark we can have, right? And then department equal to ID, right? So how this fetch will happen?
Yeah, yeah, I got it. So basically, there are various ways. One is the one you told, like employees, then question mark department equal to ID. So we can use at the rate of request param. So at the rate of request param, basically, whatever in the question mark is there, that we can put like department we can put there, and then string department name we can say in the method, and that department name will automatically have the value IT, whatever we are passing in the URL.
Okay, apart from that, what are the other ways?
Yeah, apart from that, we also have at the rate of path variable. So in path variable, we can have the something like employee department, and then the forward slash IT. So we can use path variable for this, and uh, there we can just give a string like department ID, and it will automatically pick from there. And then we also have at the rate of request body, so it will be like into the JSON format, whatever will be coming, so all that into the object, it will be, I mean, converted to the object. And further that we can use to our controller layer, and then again further yeah, we can go to the business logic layer, and then further to the repository layer. So yeah.
Okay, what is at the end of primary annotation in a Spring Boot?
Yeah, add primary annotation in a Spring Boot used to indicate a particular bean should be given the preference whenever multiple beans of the same type are present. Okay, so that will be the by default one wherever we have annotated with the at the rate of primary. So whenever we have multiple beans with the same type and one of them is marked at primary, so Spring will use that primary bean for auto mirroring by default.
Okay, is there any other way is also there?
Yeah, other way in the sense we have at the rate of qualifier as well. So if we want to use a specific bean when multiple are present, so we can also use at the rate of qualifier. So yeah, that is the another way.
Okay, okay.
So suppose in Spring Boot application, wherever we have our main Spring application dot run method, so we also have some of the classes outside of that package wherever we have this main. So I want container to create the bean out of those classes as well. Okay, so how that can be done?
Yeah, so for that, I think we can use at the rate of component as scan, and we can give the base packages. That package them we can give from wherever we want the classes to be included as part of bean.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we can use add component as scan base packages.
Okay, okay, okay. What is actuator in Spring Boot?
Yeah, actuator is a uh, like built-in configuration, we can say. We have to just add a dependency of it in case of let's say if we have maven then in pom.xml. So basically we use this to see the health and various other aspects of the application, like we have environment properties, metrics and all.
Okay, what are the default endpoints of it?
A default, yeah, so there are few default endpoints, health and info. I think they are the open endpoints by default. However, we can change its behavior, like we can secure that as well if we want.